Today, I'm going to show you 7 drone mistakes that make your drone footage look amateur. Now, most people think the solution is buying a new drone or changing a few settings, but that is only a small part of the problem. These 7 mistakes have a much bigger impact on how your footage looks, and once you fix them, you'll notice a much bigger difference. And we'll start with the one that annoys me the most: jerky footage. Now, I see this one on social media all the time and it really bugs me. Like, it's actually painful to watch. Now, people get excited, launch the drone, and suddenly they're pushing every stick in every direction. 1 second they're flying forwards, then they decide they want to go left, and then they're climbing, and then they're changing direction as if they have ADHD, and I suffer from this too. It might not look so bad at normal speed, but when you start speeding up the footage, which I see some people do, it becomes 10 times more obvious and it looks 10 times more horrendous. Now, the fix for this is actually quite simple. Stop trying to do everything in one shot. Keep your movements deliberate and let the drone do the work. Stick to simple movements such as the push in and pull out, tracking left or right, rise or descend, or try doing a quarter or half orbit. And if you need multiple movements, film them as separate clips and combine them in the edit. Simple movements always look more professional than the one long erratic flight. Now, smooth footage is a great start. However, if you have nothing interesting to capture, then no one's going to care how smooth your footage is, which leads on to the second mistake. Now, just because we have a flying camera doesn't automatically make the shot interesting. Anyone can point their camera at a landscape and press record. And before you even take off, ask yourself, what am I trying to show? Is it a building, a landmark, a mountain range, or a person? And once you know your subject, shoot with intention and compose around it. One of the easiest ways to do that is by turning your grid lines on. These aren't there to make your footage look professional, they're there to help you place your subject. For example, should the horizon sit in the middle or on the upper or lower third? Can you frame your subject with another building or foreground object? Would symmetry make the shot stronger? These small changes make your footage much easier to look at because the viewer instantly knows what they're supposed to focus on. And if you've mastered smooth movements, now you're giving people something interesting to look at. You're already ahead of most drone pilots. But this next mistake is probably the biggest one in the entire video. This honestly deserves its own video because it's that important. Ask any photographer or filmmaker what is the most important: the camera, the lens, or the light, and most would tell you light is the most important. Light has a much bigger impact on your footage than upgrading to the latest drone. I would rather shoot a Mini 2 at good light than a Mini 5 Pro in harsh midday sun. Now, every location changes throughout the day depending on where the sun is. A mountain, a building, or a beach might look incredible at sunrise, but completely flat by afternoon, or vice versa. And if you can plan your shot around where the sun will be, not just when you have free time. Now, sunrise and sunset give you the richest colors, but they also let you create different moods. Shoot with the sun behind you for warm, evenly lit subjects, or shoot into the sun for dramatic silhouettes. Neither is right or wrong, it just depends on the story you're trying to tell. Just make sure your point of interest still stands out. Midday light is usually the least flattering because the harsh overhead sun creates flat colors and strong shadows. That said, don't let perfect become the enemy of good. If you're traveling or have limited time to get a shot in average light is still better than no shot at all. Then you have overcast days, which is like shooting under a giant softbox. The light is much softer and more even, but that doesn't always make it more interesting than a partly cloudy day where the sun adds depth and texture. Now, once you start paying attention to light, you begin looking at locations completely differently. The great thing is, light is free. Even though we can't control it like we can in the studio, we can at least predetermine the sun's path, so when we are capturing our point of interest, we can get the best image possible. Though the next mistake happens before the drone even leaves the ground. Now, there are thousands of YouTube videos talking about the perfect drone settings. However, the biggest mistake isn't choosing the wrong settings, it's settings preventing you from getting the shot. Before you head out, head over to an open field and dial in your control settings so your drone flies smoothly. What I'll do is I'll link that video at the end of this one. Now, when you're actually filming, don't overcomplicate it. If your subject is time sensitive, the light is changing constantly, or you're shooting with a wide angle lens, don't be afraid to use auto. I'll still recommend using an ND filter even when shooting in auto. And what I will do, whether it's photo or video, I tend to keep my exposure value around -0.3 to help protect the highlights while checking the scene. Now, if the scene is more controlled and the light isn't changing, then manual makes more sense. Now, we've all done it, including myself. We were out the previous day capturing sunset, and the next day we go to fly, we hit record, and all suddenly you notice you're shooting at ISO 1600 during the day, or it's the wrong shutter speed, simply because we just forgot to change it. My process is simple. Choose your frame rate first, set your shutter speed to double that, and then keep an eye on your ISO if you're shooting in auto, which I recommend, and just make sure it doesn't climb too high. And I would also lock your white balance. And this is pretty easy to do by just having it in auto and then turning it off, and it will automatically set it to the correct white balance. Now, don't get caught out chasing perfect camera settings while the moment disappears. I'd rather have the shot in auto than miss it completely trying to make everything perfect. The more you practice, the quicker these settings become second nature to you, and you won't even have to think about them. Now that you have your drone footage exposed properly, there's another mistake that I see people do, and that's having no plan. But first, now if you're enjoying this video so far, I'd really appreciate if you can give this video a like. It really does help because it tells YouTube that, one, you're enjoying the video, and then it will push the video out to more people, especially if they're making these mistakes and you want to correct them. They get to see this video because you push the like button. And if you enjoy the tips from this video and you want more content like this, then hit the subscribe button. I also cover FPV as well. But while you're at it, let me know in the comments, one, what drone are you flying? And two, what are you struggling the most with when flying your drone? Now, earlier I mentioned that not having a plan and flying around aimlessly doesn't mean you need a full storyboard. It could be as simple as having a basic shot list in your head. And the more you can do this, the more natural it becomes, and eventually you'll be able to create a sequence on spontaneous flights. Before you even take off, stop for 30 seconds and look around. Ask yourself, what's my point of interest? Where's the light coming from? Which angle looks the most interesting? This saves valuable battery because you're thinking before you're flying. And once you've got your subject, capture a simple sequence, an establishing shot, a push-in or a reveal, a tracking or an orbit, a low tracking shot, a pull away to finish. And even if you don't use every clip, you've captured a complete story instead of a collection of random shots. Now, those clips can work together in your edit, or you could sell them individually on stock websites. Now, think of your drone like any other camera. Before photographers press the shutter, they compose the image in the viewfinder. Do the same with your drone before you hit record. Now, by this stage, you're probably capturing some really good footage. However, sometimes it just looks a little bit ordinary and blending with everyone else's. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with using the normal color profile. But if you want your footage to stand out amongst everyone else, consider shooting in D-Log or D-Log-M. D-Log and D-Log-M preserve more dynamic range, giving you much more flexibility when color grading. And if you just use the normal profile every time, your footage will probably look very similar to everyone else's. Color grading doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes all I'm doing is making the image a little brighter, adding a touch of contrast, and giving the colors a subtle boost. Other times I want to create a completely different mood, maybe a warm golden sunset or a cooler, more dramatic look. The goal isn't to make the colors unrealistic, it's to enhance what you've captured and support the story you're trying to tell. Now, if you don't want to learn color grading from scratch, LUTs are a great shortcut and can save you a lot of time. Now, there's plenty of LUTs available online. However, if there's a creator that you enjoy watching and you enjoy their style, then buying their LUTs not only saves you time, but you're supporting the work that they're doing. Now, whether you use a LUT or create your own look, don't ignore color. It's often the final step that takes your footage from looking good to looking memorable. So now that you have your colors looking great, the final mistake, which a lot of beginners do, because we have the ability to, is flying too high. Just because your drone can fly high doesn't mean every shot should. High shots definitely have their place, especially for establishing a location or showing the scale of a landscape. But if every shot is from high up, your footage starts to feel flat and disconnected. Try bringing the drone lower. Suddenly, you're introducing foreground and background elements that create depth and make your shot feel much more dynamic. Using the composition techniques we talked about earlier, you can frame buildings, trees, and other objects to naturally guide the viewer's eye. Flying lower also lets the viewer explore more of the location instead of looking down on everything. They're traveling through the scene and noticing details they completely miss from higher up. My advice here is to film at 3 elevations, one low, one medium, and one high, and then compare them when you get home. You might be surprised how often the lower shot is the one you end up using. Now, if you made it this far into the video, you'll notice that none of the 7 mistakes required you buying a new drone, and that's because the biggest improvement doesn't come from the drone, it comes from you as the drone pilot. After all, a newer, more expensive drone can capture mediocre footage, and an older drone like the Mini 2 can capture better footage than a newer drone if you follow the steps in this video. Now, after all, we all make mistakes, I still make them too, but it's the mistakes that we learn from that help us improve. And the only way to improve is to get out and fly. Now, if you want to know how to get smooth drone shots every single time, check out this video here. Otherwise, YouTube recommends this one.